Chapter 2201. Damn you, Fang Yuan. Back then, thieving heaven demon Venerable had expended his own theft path down marks to refine this gamble goo. Gamble goo gave random results that could not be influenced by anyone. Thieving heaven demon Venerable was special. He was an otherworldly demon who possessed otherworldly down marks. Thieving heaven's space was founded on the basis of his otherworldly down marks. Meanwhile, Gamble goo was refined with his otherworldly theft path down marks. Gamble goo did not have any offensive power by itself. It was powerless no matter what the result was. But the luck gamble killer move that used it as the core was extremely dangerous. Whether it succeeded or failed, there was no way to predict it. But it was because of this characteristic, even immortal zombie giant sun's luck could not interfere with it. The probability of winning the luck gamble was equal for both immortal zombie giant sun and Qin Ding Ling. Qin Ding Ling won the previous time. Now, it was immortal zombie giant sun's win. However, immortal zombie giant sun did not feel any joy, because whether she lost or won, Qin Ding Ling would only profit. The reason? It was due to the profundity of luck path. Luck was essentially categorized into two types: good luck and bad luck. The size of luck varied from person to person. In general, the higher the cultivation, the larger the luck. Comparing immortal zombie giant sun's and Qin Ding Ling's luck. Immortal zombie giant sun's luck was extremely vast. It was at Dao Lord level. There was little bad luck, while good luck occupied the majority of it, and Qin Ding Ling's luck was far smaller than immortal zombie giant sun's. Bad luck occupied most of it, while good luck was little. Qin Ding Ling was only a rank 8 expert. Her luck would naturally be smaller than immortal zombie giant sun's. Luck was a variable. She was against a powerful enemy like immortal zombie giant sun, with the luck of all living beings influencing each other. Even if she had good luck, it would be affected and turned into bad luck. Thus, firstly, Qin Ding Ling's luck was far smaller than her opponent's. She was basically gambling with a smaller chip. This was a huge advantage in itself. Secondly, Qin Ding Ling had a lot of bad luck. When it was transferred to immortal zombie giant sun, it would contaminate his luck as well. The basis of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's combat system was positive and powerful luck. This had two crucial points. One was he needed to have vast luck. The other was that his luck needed to be positive, which meant the more good luck he had, the better. If Qin Ding Ling won more and lost less in the luck gamble, immortal zombie giant sun's luck would greatly decrease. If Qin Ding Ling won less and lost more, even though immortal zombie giant sun would obtain her luck, it would mostly contain bad luck. Immortal zombie giant sun fell into a dilemma. He had many methods to transform his bad luck into good luck. But this process would spend immortal essence and mental energy. He would be sacrificing many opportunities when he battled star constellation Immortal Venerable again. Even worse was that once he turned his bad luck into good luck, and he lost to Qin Ding Ling in the next luck gamble, what would he do? Would he not be reinforcing the enemy? Bam, bam, bam. There was a chain of self-detonations. Over 30 truthful floating ice pieces were destroyed. There was only 10% or so remaining of the crazed demon formation. The crazed demon formation's power continued to weaken. There was also only about 40% remaining of the great world in the 8th layer. Everything was used to nurture the central truthful floating ice piece. The 3 crazed demon eccentrics continued to carve the truthful floating ice, their expressions becoming fanatic. The strength of limitless countermeasures originated from the crazed demon formation. If not for this, star constellation Immortal Venerable or immortal zombie giant sun would have already destroyed the source of limitless countermeasures. Back then, limitless demon Venerable had deliberately arranged it as one whole to make others hold themselves back if they wanted to obtain eternal life research results. They had to accept the threat and be indistinctly restricted by the countermeasures. As the crazed demon formation continued to disappear, the upper limits of strength in the Goo Immortals fight continued to rise. Immortal zombie giant sun used more powerful methods. Star constellation Immortal Venerable similarly raised the strength of her skills. Immortal zombie giant sun was being hindered by Qin Ding Ling. He unavoidably fell into a disadvantage. We must kill Qin Ding Ling. This became a general consensus. Not only immortal zombie giant sun, other pseudo-venerables also attacked. But this was star constellation chessboard formation. Since star constellation Immortal Venerable's painstaking scheme against immortal zombie giant sun succeeded, how could she let Qin Dingling be attacked easily? The situation is not good. We need to reinforce Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. If we want to support Giant Sun, we need to kill Qin Dingling. At worst, we need to disturb and break her killer move. But star constellation chessboard formation can transfer her anywhere instantly, so we still need to destroy this formation first. After back and forth discussions, it still returned to the starting point. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Stars shot forward one after the other, destroying the protective golden light, and forcing immortal zombie Giant Sun to retreat. Guhd. He coughed out cold, dark corpse blood. Starlight shone on his chest. No matter how his golden light spread, the starlight was still shining brightly. His injuries were very heavy. Because of Qin Dingling impeding him, immortal zombie Giant Sun's battle strength had fallen sharply. He was actually showing signs of defeat in the battle with star constellation Immortal Venerable. Looking at immortal zombie Giant Sun coughing blood, the expressions of Lu Weiyin and the others changed. Was immortal zombie Giant Sun going to lose in the battle of two venerables? The previous battle situation already proved that immortal zombie Giant Sun was the strongest battle strength in the allied forces. Second was Fang Yuan. If immortal zombie Giant Sun were to be defeated, that would mean the allied forces lost. However, no matter how unwilling Lu Weiyin and the rest were, they were aware that it was normal for star constellation Immortal Venerable to have such an advantage. There were many factors that influenced a fight between Gu Immortals. Point 1 was cultivation level and number of Dao marks. Star constellation Immortal Venerable and Immortal Zombie Giant Sun were equal in this. Second was Immortal Essence and Immortal Gu. Both sides were about the same. Third was battle experience. It was a draw between star constellation Immortal Venerable and Immortal Zombie Giant Sunday. Fourth was external environment, whether it could be used or not. Star constellation Immortal Venerable exceeded Immortal Zombie Giant Sun in this aspect. At least, it was true for the moment. Immortal Zombie Giant Sun used Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace, Calamity Luck Altar, and Savage Wilderness Great World. He then allied with Fang Yuan, deliberately destroyed Primordial Domain, then allied with Fang Yuan again to explore the Crazed Demon Formation and the Door of Life and Death. Star constellation Immortal Venerable fought many battles using the strength of Book Mountain, Primordial Domain, Crazed Demon Formation, Immortal Graveyard, Door of Life and Death, Spectral Soul, Demon Venerable, Green Lotus Great World, Star Constellation Chessboard, and Limitless Countermeasures. Fifth were combat methods, Gu formations, battlefield killer moves, Gu houses, and all kinds of killer moves. Star constellation Immortal Venerable and Immortal Zombie Giant Sun were both excellent beyond doubt in this aspect. It was hard to tell who was better. Sixth was combat system. Immortal Zombie Giant Sun's combat system contained extremely powerful potential for later, but it was miraculously cracked by Qin Dingling. Star constellation Immortal Venerable also possessed an exceptional combat system, which she had been using all along. This combat system was the combined combat systems of Ming Hao, Yu Xiu, and Feng Yua. The offensive aspect. The main method was Fairy Ming Hao's Flying Star killer move. Wisdom Path Gu Immortals often used exquisite killer moves because of the superiority of their path. These killer moves usually contained many Gu worms and had complicated procedures for activation. This was why the calculation ability of Wisdom Path Gu Immortals was extraordinary. Only then could they control their killer moves properly. But in Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's combat system, the Flying Star method was almost the only method in the offensive aspect. It could be said to be extremely lacking and unvaried. Was Star Constellation Immortal Venerable intentionally throwing away the obvious advantage of Wisdom Path? That was not the case. First of all, the killer move Flying Star looked simple, but that was not true. If it was used repeatedly one after the other, every move would be a consecutive move. Immortal Zombie Giant Sun was hit by so many stars that by now, the injuries caused by the stars had reached the point of inflicting serious injuries. Secondly, the deficiency in the offensive aspect was exactly Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's ingenuity. Looking at the whole combat system, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable took out the calculation requirement from the offense aspect and transferred it onto herself. letting her have an immense grasp over the battle situation at all times. It was because of this grasp over the situation that star constellation Immortal Venerable could use all the surrounding resources to the limit, even as the weak side. She could win against the strong alliance army that had high numbers. She actually led Heavenly Court to the height of victory. Star constellation Immortal Venerable's combat system could use the environment to suppress enemies and use emotions to affect them. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was one of the victims. Immortal Zombie Giant Sun and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable were equal in many aspects. However, in this deadlock, Immortal Zombie Giant Sun's combat system was obstructed, while Star Constellation Immortal Venerable continued to maintain her combat system and her advantages. These advantages were insignificant alone, but they stacked together until Immortal Zombie Giant Sun fell into the danger of losing. Fang Yuan, it is time to stake our lives and fight. What are you still hesitating for? Immortal Zombie Giant Sun suddenly shot towards the Azure Sphere. Luck Path Killer moves erupted like a rainstorm, attempting to break the sphere and release Fang Yuan. But Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was already guarded against this. She immediately attacked. Star shadows flickered. Immortal Zombie Giant Sun suffered a heavy attack again. His killer move was also destroyed halfway. We must help Fang Yuan. He will reinforce Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. Lu Weiyin called out. Paradise Earth sighed. Sigh. If my tomb had not been destroyed, I would have venerable cultivation level now and be able to resolve this predicament. These damned fodder. Zhan Budu waved his punch, killing another Heavenly Court member. However, these Heavenly Court Gu immortals would revive shortly afterwards. There was no way to kill them completely. What's more, there was still Qi Si Ancestor behind Zhan Budu. Half of the limitless chains on Qi Si Ancestor had already disappeared. On one hand, other Gu immortals were helping him. On the other hand, the crazed demon formation itself was shrinking. The upper limit of strength in the Gu immortals' fights was continuously increasing. There was now a much higher tolerance for the killer move Hu elevation. However, Qi Si Ancestor still did not have the strength to protect himself. He required Zhan Budu's constant protection. Everyone, protect me. Paradise Earth shouted, retreating to the center of the group. The other immortals protected him and gave Paradise Earth precious time to use his killer move. Heaven Path Killer Move. Heavenly Summary Earthly Norm. A mysterious aura spread from his body and charged towards the Azure Sphere like an airwave. This killer move was extremely profound. It could restore heaven and earth to its normal state. It was the nemesis of battlefield killer moves. It was perfect to break the encirclement. The Azure Sphere was already enduring the pressure from Fang Yuan. Now that the killer move Heavenly Summary Earthly Norm hit, it immediately collapsed. Fang Yuan gave a loud shout as he flew out like a tiger let out of its cage. Paradise Earth, I hope you can lend me a hand again. Fang Yuan sent out a multicolored rainbow, taking Paradise Earth as he charged towards Qin Ding Ling. Heaven Path Killer Move. Heavenly Summary Earthly Norm. Paradise Earth took in a deep breath. After using the killer move, his orifices started bleeding. His face became pale as paper. Formless air currents moved forward. Everywhere they went, starry paths broke down, turning into nothingness. Without the starry paths, it was difficult for Star Constellation Immortal Venerable to move Qin Ding Ling. Her eyes flickered with cold light. She immediately gave up on rescuing Qin Ding Ling and fiercely attacked Immortal Zombie Giant Sun instead. Damn you, Fang Yuan. Immortal Zombie Giant Sun roared. His chest was torn from the attack and his soul was heavily injured. This time, Qin Ding Ling was killed by Fang Yuan. However, Immortal Zombie Giant Sun could not turn the situation around. Thousands of stardust shot towards him. He destroyed most of them, but several hundreds still struck his body. Much starlight accumulated in Immortal Zombie Giant Sun's injuries that they were already intense like fire. Immortal Zombie Giant Sun was close to death. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable continued to attack him ruthlessly. The final fatal attack. Chapter 2202. Chu Du's Danger. Chapter 2202. Chu Du's Danger. Northern Plains. Chu Tribe Headquarters. First Supreme Elder is still in closed cultivation. Today is the day of the battle. Cho Lao Wu continued to rub his hands together. He was thin with a slightly humped back. His naturally sad face looked even more depressed right now. Relax, since First Supreme Elder agreed to Black Moon's challenge. Why would he retreat just before the fight? We just need to wait patiently. Hao Zhen was leaning on a wall with arms crossed in front of him. He showed a composed expression. He was a middle-aged, bearded man. He was tall and muscular. He and Chou Lao Wu were good friends. The two could activate a signature killer move called Wind, Thunder, Roar together. Because of this, Chou Lao Wu and Hao Zhen were called the Wind and Lightning Demons. After siding with Chu Du, they became second only to Chu Du as the strongest battle strength of Chu tribe. Actually, avoiding the battle is also an option. In another direction, Immortal Wang suddenly said softly. He had a short stature, he had a red nose and small triangular eyes. He was a transformation path Gu immortal who was proficient in transforming into dog breeds. What did you say? Hao Zhen was infuriated. He quickly approached Immortal Wang, staring at him with furious eyes. Is First Supreme Elder someone who avoids a battle? He is the mighty Chu Du. Are you trying to defame First Supreme Elder? Hao Zhen held Immortal Wang by his shirt and raised him to the air. Immortal Wang was immediately furious, shouting, "Let go, you brute. If you don't let go, don't blame me for attacking you." Seeing the situation getting out of hand, Chou Lao Wu quickly pulled Hao Zhen away. While Li Si Chun held Immortal Wang. Li Si Chun had a square face with thick eyebrows and huge eyes. His nose bridge was very tall. His chest had thick black hair that was exposed. He was a man, but he wore a flowery skirt. He tapped his fingers together and said in a feminine voice, "Come on, don't argue, okay? I am already agitated. If we have an internal fight now, then our Chu tribe will really face a crisis." Immortal Wang snorted coldly, flinging away Li Si Chun's hand. "This is Chu tribe's crisis. We should deal with it cautiously. If First Supreme Elder was still a lone force, it would not matter to us if he battled or not. But he is not. He is our Chu tribe's First Supreme Elder. Do you know what the consequences will be if he loses?" "You brute." Hao Zhen snorted, not saying a word, because he knew Immortal Wang was not wrong. Chu Du established a sect called Chu Sect. He used his connections and methods to invite many immortals to go against Heavenly Lord Baizu. But he allied with Heavenly Lord Baizu later and forced these Gu immortals into joining him to form Chu Sect. His actions turned the situation around. After establishing Chu Sect, Chu Du used his charisma and tricks to subdue the people's hearts. But good times did not last long. Under the pressure of Longevity Heaven and the Huang Jin tribes, Chu Du was forced to change Chu Sect into Chu tribe. Thus, Chu Du took in his trained strength path Gu immortals as his adopted children, removing the sect system and using the tribe system to rule. Even so, Chu tribe was still being doubted and pressured because Chu Du had no children of his own. Thereupon, Chu Du took the initiative to participate in the Fate War. This decision helped to stabilize Chu tribe's status. The situation changed again now. Fate Gu was destroyed. The rumors of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's revival kept on growing larger. Longevity Heaven sent a command to Northern Plains' Righteous Path to subdue lone and demonic immortals, attempting to unite Northern Plains' Gu immortal world. Lone and demonic immortals were extremely resistant towards this. They felt disgusted towards the Huang Jin tribes. Because of this, Baizu tribe and Chu tribe became much more attractive to join. Many of the lone and demonic immortals were solitary. They would rather choose to join Chu tribe and Baizu tribe than join the Huang Jin tribes. Chu Du was of lone cultivator origin. Baizu tribe's heavenly lord Baizu was too. These two tribes benefited from this and expanded quite a lot as a result. They were being watched secretly by Longevity Heaven. Sigh. Where did this fairy Black Moon come from? Her origin is mysterious. It is like she came out of a rock. We cannot investigate her background at all. Northern Plains is such a large region. There are many hidden experts. What is so strange about Fairy Black Moon? But she actually challenged First Supreme Elder. She is just asking for humiliation. Not necessarily. Objectively speaking, this person is extremely strong. After she appeared, she continuously challenged many experts, but has yet to face a defeat. In the most recent challenge, she even defeated Lu Chang. Fairy Black Moon revealed new methods in almost every battle. Her totem killer move is her trump card, and she is even rumored to be an inheritor of Reckless Savage. Chou Lao Wu and the group discussed. Currently, He Lulan had a huge reputation. She won repeatedly, displaying peak rank 7 battle strength that was comparable to rank 8 strength. And also because of the rumors of being reckless savage's inheritor, her overall prestige suppressed Chu Du. I can already see Fairy Black Moon's aims. She has huge ambitions. She gathered so many people around her, challenging people to gain reputation. Right now, she has already become a symbol and banner of the demonic path and lone cultivators. It was an inevitable matter for her to challenge Lord Chu Du. Even if she did not challenge him now, she would have to challenge sooner or later. Because once she wins, her reputation will double at least, and she will have authority to lead Northern Plains lone and demonic immortals. Hao Zhen analyzed. Under the pressure, lone and demonic immortals who were willing to surrender to the righteous path had already surrendered. The remaining ones were recalcitrants, and these recalcitrants had a few tricks up their sleeves. After all, without strength, they had no qualifications to be stubborn. And to these recalcitrants, Chu Du, who had established a righteous path tribe and worked with the Huangjin tribes, even having participated in the Fate War, was clearly longevity heaven's dog. To them, he was even more hateful than the Huangjin tribes. If Fairy Black Moon defeated Chu Du, she would definitely win their hearts. Her gains would no doubt be much more remarkable than when she defeated Lu Chang. On the contrary, Chu tribe was already being suppressed by longevity heaven. It had to fully rely on Chu Du. Chu tribe was not tied together using blood relationship. The master-disciple system also could not be openly established. The tribe was mostly maintained by Chu Du's charisma alone. Chu Du was the spiritual banner of Chu tribe. Should this banner collapse, Chu tribe would definitely suffer heavily. Their progress would be severely obstructed. They would lose their grasp of the people's hearts. They would start to decline rapidly. People like Chou Lao Wu were worried. Right now, they had already become Chu tribe's core members who enjoyed the benefits. They did not want Chu tribe to decline. Sigh. If we could ask for Darling, Lord Fang Yuan's help, that would be great. Li Si Chun sighed. Immortal Wang shook his head. No, that is too risky. Lord Fang Yuan's demonic might is indeed awe-inspiring. Maybe even longevity heaven will show restraint. But what if Giant Sun Immortal Venerable revives in the future? Although Fang Yuan is strong, he is not a match for a venerable. If we do this, it will just be a short-term pleasure. But it is actually a stupid way to isolate ourselves from Northern Plains' righteous path. Keep quiet. They are here. Chou Lao was suddenly reminded. More than 10 Gu immortals came this time. Half were Chu Du's adopted sons. They cultivated strength path and had ordinary cultivation level. The rest were those lone and demonic immortals that Chu tribe had recruited recently. Although their strength was higher than the adopted sons, their loyalty was unable to be verified for the moment, so it was rather troublesome to use them. External elders, where is Lord Father? First Supreme Elder? It is already the appointed time. Why has First Supreme Elder not appeared yet? These people asked all kinds of questions. Who allowed you to come? Hao Zhen walked forward. Chou Lao Wu, Immortal Wang, and Li Si Chun stood behind him, coldly watching these newcomers at this moment. The 4 immortals restrained their internal conflict and stood up as one. External elders, please don't blame us. We are really concerned about our adopted father's safety. Yes, since we joined Chu tribe, Lord Chu Du is our leader. Is it wrong for us to feel concerned? It became noisy again. Their anxiety was clear as day. Hao Zhen was just about to berate them when an aura spread, which made the immortals turn around. The closed bronze door of the secret room opened. Chu Du walked out slowly with an indifferent expression. First Supreme Elder. Lord Father. Chu Du nodded slightly, smiling as he looked around. Since you are here, hold the line for me. Chu Du's mood was heavy. The actual situation was much more serious than what Li Si Chun and the rest discussed. These recently recruited lone and demonic immortals were opportunists. There might even be spies among them. The adopted sons looked respectful and humble, but in fact, they already held resentment towards Chu Du. On one hand, they blamed Chu Du for cultivating them into strength path that had uncertain prospects. On the other hand, when they underwent immortal ascension, Chu Du used them to absorb reckless savage's true meaning, causing them to suffer huge losses. Chu Du was aware. Chu tribe seemed to be united, but it was already at the juncture of declining. If he could win against Fairy Black Moon, Chu Du could still maintain the original state. If he were to be defeated, Chu tribe would definitely decline, and it would likely be a disastrous decline. People would look down on them. No one would join. They would keep on growing weaker until Chu tribe members became cannon fodder in the 5 regions' chaotic war. Lord, with so many people leaving, what about our territory's defense? Chou Lao Wu asked. Chu Du waved his sleeve, saying with a carefree tone, "It doesn't matter. How many resource points do we have that are truly valuable? As for the headquarters, Gu immortals need to be stationed, draw sticks to settle it." Although Chu tribe was established, they had few resource points and were of poor quality. It could be said they were lacking resources to develop. Like this, a few unlucky Gu immortals were selected to guard the headquarters. Chu Du took almost all the Chu tribe Gu immortals towards the appointed battlefield. Chu Du was not even a little panicked. Moving leisurely on the way, Gu immortals of the Huang Jin tribes appeared and joined Chu Du's group. These Gu immortals might exclude Chu tribe and by Zhu tribe secretly during normal times, but they naturally stood beside Chu Du when facing an outsider like Fairy Black Moon. When they were halfway through the journey, Heavenly Lord Baizu appeared. Only then did Chu Du truly let out a sigh of relief. Chapter 2203, Blood Sea Clone. It was only Heavenly Lord Baizu's clone, but it was still at rank 8. The immortals quickly paid their respects. Chu Du was satisfied. Although Heavenly Lord Baizu did not personally come to back him up, Chu Du knew Heavenly Lord Baizu had an exquisite method that could let the clone and main body switch places instantly. Thus, with this clone here, it was no different from Heavenly Lord Baizu personally being here at this crucial moment. Heavenly Lord Baizu was a reliable partner for Chu Du. Heavenly Lord Baizu had been paying a lot of attention to the impending battle of Chu Du and Fairy Black Moon. After all, with longevity heaven above them and the unity of the Huang Jin tribes, Baizu tribe and Chu tribe had to stay allied and endure the immense pressure together. It was just that he had a really urgent mission at this time. The only one that could summon him was naturally longevity heaven. Currently, Heavenly Lord Baizu was in longevity heaven. Beside him was the current generation South Desolation immortal, Yao Huang. Seeing Heavenly Lord Baizu slightly out of sorts, Yao Huang understood inwardly, smiling. "Baizu, who do you think will win in the fight between Chu Du and Black Moon?" Heavenly Lord Baizu retracted his consciousness, smiling bitterly. "From my angle, I naturally hope Chu Du can win. However, Fairy Black Moon is no small character. Her strength is hard to estimate. This will definitely be a fierce battle." Lord Baizu is correct. Both cultivate strength path. One has been renowned for a long time, while the other's reputation is rising rapidly. It is indeed hard to tell who is stronger. Only the fight will determine the winner and the loser. That Fairy Black Moon seems to have inherited Reckless Savage's true inheritance. Her strength path attainment cannot be underestimated. In my view, Chu Du still has a higher chance of winning. After all, he is a legendary person who had once pressured the whole of Lu tribe. The moment these words came out, Lu tribe Gu immortals snorted coldly with displeased expressions. A large group of Gu immortals had gathered around Heavenly Lord Baizu and Yao Huang. They were all from Huang Jin tribes that the Gu immortals were discussing. 5 Elements Grandmaster suddenly flew over. "All right, the formation is set. Please enter the formation." A large formation was set up in front of the immortals. Beautiful blood-red lines were all over the formation. The Huang Jin tribe's Gu immortals stopped talking as they entered the formation. Among them was Heavenly Lord Baizu, who brought He tribe's Gu immortals. Soon, only Heavenly Lord Baizu and Yao Huang remained at the periphery of the formation. Yao Huang looked at the formation, saying suddenly, "It is good if Chu Du wins, but if he fails, Black Moon might really rise to power." "Did you secretly help Chu Du?" Heavenly Lord Baizu shook his head. "I won't lie to you. I had suggested this to him, but it was rejected. He only wants to use his strength path attainment to fight this battle. To him, this strength path battle holds extraordinary significance." Yao Huang thought to himself, smiling inwardly. Chu Du will lose, and it is a certain loss. He Lulan was nurtured by our ancestor. Her strength is beyond her peers, and with effort Gu helping her, her cultivation level killer moves, and other aspects are progressing rapidly. Meanwhile, He Lulan already knows the information regarding Chu-Du. With this win, He Lulan will become a leading character in Northern Plains Gu Immortal World. Later on, she will be able to lead lone and demonic immortals with her every action. Right at this time, the sky of longevity heavens suddenly changed. Warning alarms started ringing. This was the arranged signal. How could it be so early? Yao Huang's expression changed greatly as he shouted, "Quickly activate the formation." Even without his reminder, Five Elements Grandmaster, who was in charge of the formation, was already activating it. The formation buzzed loudly as blood-red light bloomed. This formation was actually a rank 8 blood path immortal formation. The blood path formation produced a mysterious strength that quickly disappeared from the formation and transferred to a mysterious place, AKT this time. Crazed Demon Cave, 9th layer, in Star Constellation Chessboard Formation, Star Constellation Immortal. Venerable made the fatal move. Whoosh! Suddenly, the near-dead immortal zombie giant sun's body burned with blood-red flames. Countless goo worms shone and flew around inside immortal zombie giant sun's aperture, forming a killer move that drew in the blood path divine power from longevity heaven. Among them, familial emotion goo was the first core. Next to familial emotion goo was imitation goo. This time, imitation goo had already transformed into blood relation goo, which was the second core. The blood path divine power quickly spread throughout immortal zombie giant sun's body. His ice-cold immortal zombie black blood burned intensely like boiling water. Golden rays shot out from the black blood and spread rapidly like water. After a few breaths of time, all the blood in immortal zombie giant sun turned into the color of gold. His dry black skin, like that of a withered tree, became filled with vitality as it regained a white luster. Thorn-like hair quickly grew and draped down to his shoulders. His eyes that were dark and dim earlier started shining in golden light now. His entire body began to grow taller. He had a slightly hunched back earlier, but was now standing tall with bulging muscles. He became a middle-aged man of over 9 feet in height. Boom! Blood-colored radiance spread, causing winds and clouds to stir. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had completely revived. The whole revival process was extremely short. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable found that she was not able to break the blood-red barrier of light around Immortal Zombie Giant Sun, and even sensed hints of a trap around Immortal Zombie Giant Sun, so she watched from the side. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's gaze was deep. As I expected, Blood Sea Ancestor was your clone. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable smiled, showing his white teeth. Star Constellation, you cultivate Wisdom Path primarily with Star Path as your secondary path. Genesis Lotus cultivates Wood Path and Painting Path. Thieving Heaven cultivates Theft Path primarily with Space Path as the secondary path. With one main and one specialty path, us Venerables can compete with each other on equal grounds. And in my case, I chose Blood Path. It is just that the timing was not right when I was alive. Only after countless years past my death was there enough foundation for my Blood Sea clone to create Blood Path. And talents emerged in Heavenly Court as well. There first were Gu Immortal Fei Shuang and Ning Shui, this master and disciple pair who hunted down my Blood Sea clone. Later, Refinement Path Great Grandmaster Lian Shun Ku refined blood relation Immortal Gu, which almost destroyed my plan. Fortunately, I had backup methods. Heavenly Court had already felt something strange about Blood Sea Ancestor. Thus, they constructed Demon Judgment Board to suppress Blood Path. Although Immortal Zombie Giant Sun succeeded in reviving, the progress of Blood Path was seriously impeded. It did not develop into a mainstream path, and was always treated like a detestable path. Even though super forces researched it, they only did it behind closed doors. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's original plan was to keep Luck Path a secret while borrowing the strength of the world to perfect Blood Path. But Blood Path ended up being obstructed. If Blood Path had been prosperous, the current Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's strength would have risen much more. Forget it. How can everything go as one wishes? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable heaved a sigh, his gaze moving past Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, past the formation, towards the distance. There were only a few truthful floating ice pieces left in the crazed demon formation. Star constellation Immortal Venerable solemnly gathered her concentration. In front of her was a fully revived giant sun, Immortal Venerable, with no trace of injuries. And although his strength had not been restored to the peak state, it was similar to Star constellation Immortal Venerables, and Qin Ding Ling was still in the process of revival. Luck Gamble was already used before and would be difficult to use again with Giant Sun, Immortal Venerable already on guard against it. Star Constellation and Giant Sun's fight was definitely going to be an uncontrollable battle of life and death. However, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable felt troubled if she had to fight without any considerations. The current situation was not simple. She had various misgivings this time. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable suddenly sighed. Star Constellation, the eternal life research results are right before our eyes. Let's hold off our fight for the moment. How about we join hands and get rid of these irrelevant people first? Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was dazed for a bit before nodding with a smile. That is appropriate. We should do that. These two venerables were still fighting a life and death battle earlier, but they were actually working together now. This was undoubtedly a wise move that it would be a shame if bystanders got benefits when two tigers fought. Thereupon, the sensible Star Constellation and Giant Sun were naturally going to get rid of the weak ones first. Boom! Giant Sun, Immortal Venerable directly charged towards Fang Yuan. Countless golden light rays shot at Fang Yuan like spears or swords. This was Giant Sun Immortal Venerable showing his sincerity to Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Fang Yuan was with Paradise Earth, and he had killed Qin Ding Ling not long ago. You defend while I attack, Fang Yuan said to Paradise Earth. Paradise Earth hesitated for a bit before nodding. Heaven Path Killer Move. Heavenly Web Protection Veil. Milky White Light Web appeared once again. The heavenly web was pure, without any dust. There were large gaps, but they did not allow anything in. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's golden light rays were completely blocked by the heavenly web. This was the void. There were no outside world's luck path down marks to amplify Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. On the contrary, they were also under the threat of limitless countermeasures. It was not like in the Door of Life and Death, where Spectral Soul Demon Venerable obtained amplification from countless soul path down marks, and could also use his full strength without any restraints. 0.5 restriction Profound Light Chi. Fang Yuan attacked from afar. 5 colored smoke spread rapidly. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable did not slow down. He kept on charging closer. Golden light constantly flowed around his body. When Giant Sun Immortal Venerable entered the 5 restriction Profound Light Chi, the 5 colored smoke flowed away from him. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable closed in on Fang Yuan and used a killer move that a golden hand quickly flew out and grabbed at Fang Yuan's head. The giant hand was about to pluck Fang Yuan's luck, but at the next moment, Cooking Luck Pot showed itself. It shook fiercely as it blocked the giant hand. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable used another move. The golden hand was reinforced and strengthened greatly, but as it tried to pluck with more force, Cooking Luck Pot's retaliation became even stronger, even directly flicking away the giant hand. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable already knew Fang Yuan had Cooking Luck Pot and that it was quite strong. But this attempt still shocked him. How many rank 8 Immortal Goo did he use to raise Cooking Luck Pot to this level? Even Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was feeling troubled right now. With the protection of such a strong Cooking Luck Pot, most of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's luck path methods were useless against Fang Yuan. Normally speaking, the reason Goo Immortals could hardly fight Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was because it was difficult for them to guard against Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's luck path methods. Once Giant Sun Immortal Venerable attacked their luck, they had few methods to block it, and there was furthermore a low chance of blocking it. But Fang Yuan's situation was different. Chapter 2204. Two Venerables versus Fang Yuan, Double Chapter. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's attacks were blocked. Fang Yuan took the chance to counterattack, but at this time, a ray of starlight landed on Fang Yuan's forehead with an incredible speed. Fang Yuan's head leaned back slightly from the attack. Seeing his defensive methods weakened by 30%, he quickly moved away. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable flew over and coordinated with Giant Sun Immortal Venerable to pincer attack Fang Yuan. At this moment, Fang Yuan was facing the attacks of two Venerables. All the Immortals were tongue-tied. And no matter how strong Fang Yuan was and how much reputation he had, was he worthy of being targeted by two venerables? But thinking about it carefully, the immortals understood why. After all, among all the pseudo-venerables, Fang Yuan possessed the greatest threat. Besides Fang Yuan's main body, Qi Si ancestor and Zhan Budu were also Fang Yuan's clones. Thus, he also had the largest force here, and the seemingly lone demon immortal Qi Ju had already made a secret deal with Fang Yuan back during the pursuit battle against him. They had cooperated for a long time. With the sharp increase in pressure, Fang Yuan prioritized on evading. He defended against the two venerables' attacks while shouting to Paradise Earth and the other immortals, "We must join hands and unite. Otherwise, with the eternal life research results right in front of us, the two venerables will not let you gain benefits easily. They will definitely kill us first." Without much hesitation, Shun Shang, Paradise Earth, Demon Immortal Qi Ju, and others agreed. Attacking one after the other. It was just that their efforts could not lift the pressure off Fang Yuan. In star constellation chessboard formation, the Heavenly Court Gu immortals tied down the pseudo-venerables even if they had to sacrifice their lives. Fang Yuan was beginning to flee everywhere, falling into a passive state. Star constellation Immortal Venerable suddenly mobilized star constellation chessboard formation to slow down Fang Yuan's flying speed. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable took the chance to attack. A ray of golden light shot out from his hand. Fang Yuan could not dodge in time and was illuminated by the golden light. At the crucial moment, Fang Yuan had to activate his renowned defensive method. A long robe appeared on him. This long robe had wide sleeves. It was white like snow. On the surface of the robe, there was slow-flowing water. It was the same appearance as reverse flow river earlier. Not just that, the surface of the long robe had faint mist surrounding it. There was also a strip of light that was deep azure. It was curvy and wavy, resembling a long sash. It coiled around Fang Yuan's arms, the back of his neck, and around his waist again. Immortal Killer Move. Reverse Flow Protection Seal. Reverse Flow Protection Seal was outstanding. It immediately reflected Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's golden light and the flying stars that followed closely behind. Fang Yuan finally gained a slight respite, but he did not dare to relax. His hands opened wide. His left hand released 5 colored smoke. It was 5 restriction profound light chi. His right hand pressed down towards the starry paths, activating a sinister and baleful compound killer move, rotting poisonous dark ash. This move contained the profundity of wood path, poison path, dark path, and fire path. It could corrode everything and destroy their internal structure. As time passes, its damage would become even fiercer. Even when this killer move was cancelled, there would still be continuous corrosion, but the corrosion would become weaker. Fang Yuan had once tried this move on an immemorial year beast. He had stopped this killer move in just a few breaths of time, but the struck immemorial year beast cried miserably for 3 days and 3 nights before it finally turned into a pile of rotten gray ash. Fang Yuan blew it away with just a light breath. Fang Yuan was not using this move to target Star Constellation Immortal Venerable or Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. He was targeting this Star Constellation chessboard formation. He must first destroy this formation. Heaven Path Killer Move. Heavenly Summary, Earthly Norm. On the other side, Paradise Earth activated his killer move again. He had the same intention as Fang Yuan. Great minds thought alike. He wanted to first dismantle this formation as well. The Heaven Path killer move's power was beyond ordinary. Everywhere it went, starry paths vanished and starlight dissipated, restoring it to the original void. Paradise Earth, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable frowned as she threw out numerous stars. Most of them still targeted Fang Yuan, but a small portion attacked Paradise Earth. Even though Paradise Earth only had pseudo-venerable cultivation, he had converted to Heaven Path. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was unable to ascertain his methods for the moment, so she had to be on alert against him. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable controlled the whole situation and was always calm. As long as there was something odd, she would suppress it immediately. With Star Constellation Immortal Venerable targeting him, Paradise Earth also had to be on guard. This reverse flow protection seal is indeed difficult to deal with. But Fang Yuan, how long can you hold on for? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable used powerful killer moves one after the other. These killer moves were all reflected back, but reverse flow river's water level also fell sharply. Fang Yuan's reverse flow protection seal was renowned all over the world. It was not that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had not prepared for it. It was just that he had not personally dealt with Fang Yuan's reverse flow protection seal. And after Fang Yuan modified it later, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable could only choose the method of consuming it. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable frowned slightly. With a shift of her mind, starry paths shook. A grand rank 8 Immortal Gu House followed the starry paths and entered the battlefield that it was Divine Emperor City. Inside Divine Emperor City, Genesis Lotus was solemn as he activated a method that he had prepared for a long while. Painting Path Killer Move, Scenic Portrait. Instantly, Fang Yuan's portrait appeared inside Divine Emperor City's painting world. Fang Yuan's portrait stood in front of Genesis Lotus Will. He was motionless with his eyes closed. He had no expressions. After Genesis Lotus Will used this killer move, his form began to turn unstable. He clenched his teeth as he activated another painting path killer move called Ink Slicing Thread. Thin lines of ink suddenly flew out of the hands of Genesis Lotus Will. They started slicing the cheeks of Fang Yuan's portrait. Almost at the same time, Fang Yuan, who was fighting Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, suddenly shook. His left cheek was cut. The injury was a thin line from which black ink flowed out from. What's going on? Fang Yuan's pupils shrunk, and almost immediately, his sharp gaze fell on Divine Emperor City. This is a painting path method. It is definitely Divine Emperor City's doing, and very likely involves Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. Fang Yuan's thoughts moved like lightning that he was right. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable planned before taking action. Since she could prepare the killer move Luck Gamble against Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, she would not neglect Fang Yuan. Although Fang Yuan had not used Reverse Flow Protection Seal for a long time, it did not mean he had no way of using it. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's plan would never forget Fang Yuan's Reverse Flow Protection Seal. The killer move Scenic Portrait was already created by Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. Later, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable worked together with Genesis Lotus Will to modify it, to target Fang Yuan's Reverse Flow Protection Seal. Fang Yuan had just stabilized his footing with the help of Reverse Flow Protection Seal when Star Constellation Immortal Venerable used this method. Reverse Flow River could essentially reflect everything. However, Reverse Flow Protection Seal was created by Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had almost no understanding of painting path. His attainment level in it was blank. Fang Yuan was aware of this flaw, so he had already gathered some painting path mortal goo. However, it was far out of its depth against a painting path method at this level. As such, Fang Yuan was hit by the killer move Scenic Portrait. This was also the reason why most Venerables cultivated two paths: Star Constellation Immortal Venerable cultivated Wisdom Path and Star Path. Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable cultivated Wood Path and Painting Path. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable cultivated Luck Path and Blood Path. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable cultivated Earth Path and Heaven Path. Reckless Savage Demon Venerable cultivated Transformation Path and Strength Path. Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable cultivated Theft Path and Space Path. Venerables often cultivated one main path and one specialty path. The first path would be the primary one, which could be widely spread. The other path would be kept secretive and mysterious. Information about it would be sealed tight. For instance, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable cultivated Wisdom Path as the primary, with Star Path as her specialty. Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable cultivated Wood Path as the primary, with Painting Path as his specialty. Fang Yuan's current situation showed the advantage of doing this. Fang Yuan could reflect Wood Path methods, but he was a stranger to Painting Path, so Painting Path methods were effective on him. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's situation was slightly special. He had planned to take Blood Path as the primary and Luck Path as his specialty. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable created Luck Path when he was alive. He was the only one to possess Luck Path. Thus, he kept Luck Path a secret. But to help Fang Yuan and his ambitions, he left a portion of the Luck Path True Inheritance in 88 True Yang Building and with Langya Land Spirit. After he died, he tried all ways to use his clone to create Blood Path. He had planned to make Blood Path the most common path, Thus the Blood Sea clones spread blood path everywhere. He wanted to get the help of others to help him perfect and promote blood path. Inside Divine Emperor City, Genesis Lotus will used another painting path killer move, brushstroke, that a painting brush swept past Fang Yuan's portrait, leaving ink traces wherever it brushed, at the same time. Ink black injuries appeared on Fang Yuan's body. The injuries deepened quickly. Compound killer move. Man as before, Fang Yuan activated a killer move again to heal himself constantly. But with this, he had no choice but to cancel the rotting poisonous dark ash killer move, which only left 5 restriction profound light chi for his counterattack. Simultaneously activating multiple killer moves did not surpass Fang Yuan's wisdom path limits. But Fang Yuan had to leave some capacity for thinking to deal with any sudden event. Otherwise, once an unexpected situation occurred, and Fang Yuan's reaction was slightly late, it would give the enemy an opportunity. After all, his enemies were venerables. They were not the likes of Qin Ding Ling and Bing Sai Chuan. Moreover, these two venerables had allied pressure. Immense pressure that was like a mountain pressed down endlessly on Fang Yuan. It would not stop until it killed him. Fang Yuan was in a disadvantage all along. His situation continued to be more troublesome. This was the hardest battle of his life. Comparatively, the battle in the Fate War was not so heated. Fang Yuan is in danger. Paradise Earth and the others wanted to help, but were always blocked by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable and Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. The two venerables' attacks were concentrated on Fang Yuan. They only used the remaining small portion of energy to block the other pseudo-venerables. Finally, Fang Yuan's reverse flow river was expended. He had no choice but to cancel this move. Without the obstruction of this move, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable laughed as he activated an already prepared killer move. The killer move was formless. Fang Yuan was instantly hit. Sovereign Immortal Aperture shook violently. Lightning flashed as tribulation clouds gathered. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable smiled. Fang Yuan. The core of this move is Calamity Luck Alter. It can change fortune to misfortune. Your Sovereign Immortal Aperture has too many resources, and it has developed extremely well. How large of a tribulation will form once such a deep fortune turns into calamity? Fang Yuan's expression changed. Inside the Sovereign Immortal Aperture, many northern plains, Sacred Eagle City, tribulation clouds billowed. At the previous moment, it was still a scene of blue skies and white clouds. Now the world had turned dark. What's going on? The residents of the city looked at the sky. Shortly afterwards, noisy sounds rose from Sacred Eagle City. Tribulation clouds. There are tribulation clouds again. What is happening? Quick, go ask the city lord for help. The city residents were terrified and panicked as they ran towards the city lord manor. Sacred Eagle City's residents were mostly humans who came from the former Beast Calamity Grotto-Heaven that I in this life. Fang Yuan had secretly accelerated Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven's calamities and tribulations to subdue it. This caused tribulation clouds to cover the whole of Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven, creating a huge number of casualties. These residents had such a painful experience. So when they saw the tribulation clouds that was almost the same as in their memory, they immediately acted like spooked cats, screaming and fleeing madly. Inside the City Lord Manor, a transformation path rank 7 Gu Immortal looked at the sky. A bitter expression was on his face too. He was the recently promoted Sacred Eagle City Lord. He was originally only at rank 6, but he received Fang Yuan's help, and his cultivation advanced to rank 7. After accepting a mission, he became this Sacred Eagle City's City Lord. This tribulation is so huge, Sacred Eagle City only has 3 Gu Immortals. We might not be able to stop it. It is better to ask for reinforcements from Triple Sacred Mountain. Sacred Eagle City Lord immediately sent a request for reinforcements. Triple Sacred Mountain was the center of many northern plains. It was the gathering area of snowmen and was the most developed area. It was looked after by Fang Yuan's fiancé, Shui Er. Different from the 5 regions, humans lived peacefully with other variant humans the inside Sovereign Immortal Aperture, helping each other without any discrimination. Sacred Eagle City's residents were very isolated and ignorant. When they first moved into the Sovereign Immortal Aperture, they were helped extensively by Shui Er and the snowmen. So they had good feelings towards the snowmen truth.The for Sacred Eagle City's Gu Immortals, who came from Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven. These Gu Immortals were also vastly different from the 5 regions Gu Immortals in regards to their philosophy of life. They took the duty of protecting mortals as their glory. Adding on Fang Yuan's rule and management, all the races in sovereign immortal aperture lived unitedly. The human Sacred Eagle City Lord did not have any mental barrier in asking for reinforcements from the snowmen. At the same time, he had a lot of faith in Fairy Shui Air's help. Mini Western Desert, an enormous pitch-black city, was standing in the depths of the desert. It was Inkman City. Inkman City Lord Mo Tansang's cultivation had also advanced to rank 7. He had around 8 Gu Immortals under him, but they were just rank 6. The scale of this tribulation is so huge, its power will definitely be unprecedented. Mo Tansang's expression was solemn. He felt heavy pressure. He reacted almost immediately and sent out commands. 2 Gu Immortals were dispatched to maintain the security and prevent the residents from taking vicious actions, like rioting or stampeding. Additionally, 4 Gu Immortals were dispatched out of the city to look after White Steel Bowl Valley, Rotten Swamp, hibiscus trees, and other resource points. If the situation became urgent, these Gu Immortals could immediately retrieve as many of these resources as possible and temporarily place them in Inkman City's storage. Mo Tansang's status was similar to Shui Air's. He was almost like the person in charge of Mini Western Desert. He governed not only Inkman City, but also many other locations. Mini Blue Heaven. A grand city was on a continent above cloud soil. In the heart of the city was a mountain-like hall made from a star snail. This hall was in uproar at this moment. A rank 8 elderly man was sitting inside solemnly as he listened to the reports from various Gu Immortals. He was the old combat beast king. He was appointed as Star Collection City Lord by Fang Yuan and was in charge of overseeing the internal affairs of the sovereign immortal aperture. This tribulation is too sudden. It is even more terrifying than the one in Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven. It is much larger and covers the whole sovereign immortal aperture. City Lord, what should we do? Master has taken away almost all the rank 8 Gu Immortals and the strong rank 7s for the fight at this time. Although most of them have revived, they are at Gu Master level. Our manpower is too few. How do we deal with such a tribulation? Even if there were no casualties, could we deal with such a tribulation by combining our strength? That is impossible. Only an existence like Master can protect our home from such a tribulation. Combat Beast King raised his hand. The hall gradually quietened. Master is wise and mighty. He will definitely make a move when he should. But right now, we should remember our responsibility to protect our home. Even if we die, it cannot crumble our will. Everyone, this is a difficult test. Master is watching us. Our clansmen are watching us. As Gu Immortals, if we cannot protect them, if we are afraid of dying, how can we raise our heads in pride later on? We are willing to fight with all our strength. The Gu Immortals shouted together with surging morale. Death was not terrifying. Even if they died, they could revive through human sea. The terrifying thing was escaping in the face of danger and leaving a bad impression on Fang Yuan. There was no doubt that Fang Yuan's will was paramount in the sovereign immortal aperture. He ruled everything in Crazed Demon Cave. Dazzling and vast golden light flowed like a sea wave. Fang Yuan retreated rapidly with a solemn expression. He no longer had reverse flow protection seal. Facing the 2 venerables, his situation was perilous, almost like walking on a steel rope between cliffs. What was even worse was the trouble in the sovereign immortal aperture. This is a method of all living beings' luck. Fang Yuan looked at Giant Sun Immortal Venerable with a malevolent killing intent. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's gaze was eerie. He observed the tribulation aura on Fang Yuan's body becoming denser before he put his mind at rest. Fang Yuan possessed Cooking Luck Pot, which could indeed stop most of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's luck path methods. However, Fang Yuan still could not compare to Giant Sun Immortal Venerable in terms of luck path foundation. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable sighed lightly. Fang Yuan, you have such talent and aptitude. I really don't want to kill you. It is such a pity that your character determined your outcome. I have to get rid of you. If you are really allowed to keep on developing, There will be a day when you comprehend all living beings' luck and heaven and earth luck through the self-luck true inheritance. It is much easier to get rid of you now. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable appreciated Fang Yuan's talent, but was even more wary of him. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable continued to attack while speaking. Fang Yuan was forced to retreat again and again. Although he had cooperated with Fang Yuan time and again, when they truly fought, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable seemed to be even happier than Star Constellation Immortal Venerable to get rid of Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's expression was solemn. His eyes shone sharply as he kept silent. He continuously activated all kinds of compound killer moves. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had never heard of or seen these killer moves before. Because of this, it was rather troublesome for Giant Sun Immortal Venerable to deal with them. Fang Yuan relied on this to barely maintain his footing. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable smiled. I am getting more and more amazed by you. Such brilliant and numerous compound killer moves have really broadened my horizons. A pity. It is a pity that these killer moves are unsystematic. You still don't have your own combat system. But this is not your fault. I used close to 1,000 years to perfect my current combat system back then. Moreover, making a combat system is not just about time. It also needs plenty of worthy opponents to be created successfully. Fang Yuan, how many years have you lived even after adding up all your lives? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable smiled. While speaking, he inflicted another deep injury on Fang Yuan's chest. Fang Yuan did not speak. Comparing foundation, he was indeed inferior to Venerables. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had a smile on his face as he saw Fang Yuan's tribulation aura increasing by double in just a short while. You already felt it, right? The greatest profundity of my move lies in the number of calamities and tribulations. As many resource points, immortal goo immortals, desolate beasts, and so on as are there in the sovereign immortal aperture, there will be an equivalent number of calamities and tribulations. Those who are struck by this move need to resolve countless calamities and tribulations at the same time. Difficult. This is extremely difficult. Fang Yuan, I won't give you an opportunity to save yourself. Saying so, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable attacked once again. His attacks were unceasing and majestic. Fang Yuan could only block them, and was unable to do anything to the sovereign immortal aperture. It was a scene of an abyss in the sovereign immortal aperture. Mini central continent. Flower mist extreme marsh. Large meteorites dragged long tails as they smashed on the ground. Bam, bam, bam. The meteorites erupted and flames spread, burning the mist, marsh, and extreme marsh flowers around them. Only dry land was left behind. From the inferno, tall flame monsters stood up. The flame monsters wreaked havoc. A goo immortal streaked across the sky. It was Fang Yuan's Dragon Man clone, Wu Shuai. With a thought from Wu Shuai, ant groups flew out and fought with the flame monsters. Mini southern border. There was a downpour on the whole dark inkstone mine. The corrosive rain inflicted heavy damage on the dark inkstones that a Rockman goo immortal was stationed here. He used all his strength to activate his killer moves, but could only protect a small part of the mine. Star Collection City was in chaos. Every resource point in the Mini-5 regions and Mini-9 heavens is being attacked by different types and scales of calamities and tribulations. The goo immortals on Firebird Mountain are requesting for reinforcements. Ghost fire is burning Pin Tree Snowfield. If we don't stop it on time, the ghost fire will destroy the whole snowfield. The Hairy Man continent is being bombarded by lightning. One of the cities is already drowned by a tsunami. A terrifying beast calamity has appeared in Mini Black Heaven. Thousands of green claw ghost-winged lions are hunting down soul beasts. Bad news came one after the other. Combat Beast King subconsciously clenched his fists. Despite already being prepared mentally, when the calamities and tribulations really broke out, the severity of the losses made him unable to maintain his calm for some time. But from start to finish, he maintained his solemn expression to this time. When all the goo immortals were panicking, as their backbone, he could not panic. He sent out various commands. Star Collection City began to operate frantically. Manpower and resources were dispatched to every place as they began to deal with the calamities and tribulations. But there were too many calamities and tribulations. Not only was their range huge, they were of various types. Every calamity and tribulation needed to be dealt with using different methods. This was an extremely difficult challenge to the Gu immortals stationed in the sovereign immortal aperture. Chapter 2205, Blackfire. News of the first Gu immortal to be heavily injured and near death arrived. Combat Beast King's heart immediately tensed. So quickly. His mood became even heavier. The more casualties the Gu immortals suffered, the lower the resistance the sovereign immortal aperture could put up. If this continued until a certain extent, the situation would be irredeemable, like an unstoppable avalanche. Combat Beast King gritted his teeth. Send the orders. Mini Black Heaven does not need to be saved. Give up on rescuing any desolate beasts, ancient desolate beasts, and even immemorial desolate beasts. We will protect the large cities first. Second are the important resource points. How are the results of the Wisdom Path Gu Immortals deductions? Star Collection City naturally had Wisdom Path Gu Immortals. We have not even deduced half of them. There are too many calamities and tribulations. A Wisdom Path Gu Immortal said with sweat all over his head. Take out whatever results you have to deal with this situation first. Combat Beast King almost stamped his foot. The results were soon obtained. Combat Beast King made the decision on the spot. Star Collection City began to mobilize Gu Immortals. Oh. Wu Shuai was the first to receive this command. A strange expression flashed by his face before he slowly retreated, in the short while of his fight with the flame monsters. Flower Mist Extreme Marsh was already completely destroyed, while the majority of the flame monsters still remained. There were too many of them. Even though Wu Shuai used all his strength, he could only eradicate a small portion of them. These flame monsters' target was already destroyed, so their hostility gathered on Wu Shuai. Seeing Wu Shuai retreat, the flame monsters immediately chased after him. Wu Shuai led them to the west and met another Gu immortal midway. A group of Qi monsters were chasing after this Gu immortal. The two Gu immortals were in the center, but the flame monsters and Qi monsters fought with each other. It is feasible indeed. These calamities and tribulations are not formed naturally, but were created because of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's killer move. Since they are only formed through luck path and is not controlled by heaven's will, they are like an army without a leader. We can use calamities and tribulations to deal with calamities and tribulations. Wu Shuai was slightly happy. This was the deduction result of the Wisdom Path Gu Immortals. Some Gu Immortals gathered acidic rain, while some Gu Immortals directed the heavenly river towards the desert. Under such operations, the sovereign immortal aperture's situation finally eased. We have stabilized the situation. Combat Beast King let out a breath of air. In just a short period of time, his face was covered with sweat. Calamities and tribulations came too fiercely. If their reaction had been slightly slow, it might have resulted in destruction. Fortunately, they used every moment, seized the initiative, and stabilized the situation. But this was far from enough. Calamities and tribulations were still playing out in many places. Those that could consume each other were only a small portion. The whole sovereign immortal aperture was still being destroyed by calamities and tribulations. Losses increased at every breath of time. The tribulation clouds above the Flower Mist Extreme Marsh have disappeared completely. Most of the tribulation clouds above the Pin Tree Snowfield have dissipated. The Darking Stone Mine is completely destroyed, but the tribulation clouds are also destroyed. Something is wrong. There is an abnormal situation. Reporting. Over 20 tribulation clouds all over the Mini-5 regions are showing identical changes. This is the earth-shaking heavenly light tribulation. Combat Beast King had just relaxed when he heard the devastating news. This is bad. His expression turned pale. From combining the information in the map of the Mini-5 regions in his mind, earth-shaking heavenly light tribulations were appearing in crucial areas. Bam, bam, bam. Yellowish-brown pillars of light shot out from tribulation clouds. The light pillars struck the ground and continued to pierce down into the ground. A large amount of tribulation clouds swarmed into the yellowish-brown light pillars. They suddenly lit up, and this light flowed down the light pillars into the depths of the ground. Boom! Explosions rang. The earth shook fiercely. Boom! 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 Earth-shaking light pillars in the Mini-5 regions were continuing to exert power. Earthquakes were becoming even more intense. Terrifying shockwaves continued to expand. Everywhere they passed by, earth shook, mountains crumbled, rivers changed courses, and seas roared. This luck path method targets the resources in the immortal aperture. Now that those resource points are destroyed or damaged heavily, earth veins became the conspicuous target. That's why there are so many earth-shaking heavenly light tribulations. They just happen to cover all the earth vein nodes and are seeking to destroy them. Wu Shuai's face was cold as ice. Although these calamities and tribulations triggered by Giant Sun, Immortal Venerable, did not have heaven's will to control the overall situation, there would be this kind of change at the later part. It greatly made up for the lack of commands. However, you think the earth veins we constructed painstakingly can be destroyed so easily? Wu Shuai sneered, activating a formation. Earth vein formation was activated. Thick and grand aura spread rapidly. The powerful tremors underground were forcefully suppressed. Next, the Gu Immortals dispatched by Star Collection City reached the tribulation areas and began attacking earth-shaking heavenly light pillars. The huge heavenly light pillars began to break down one after the other. The sovereign immortal apertures Gu Immortals coordinated to get past this difficulty. The tribulation clouds changed again. This time, they formed beast calamities in various areas. Immemorial desolate beast-level golden steel earth rats emerged from everywhere and besieged the earth vein nodes. 7 to 8 earth vein nodes were destroyed before these golden steel earth rats were eradicated. A small portion of the earth rats were enslaved by Wu Shuai. Tribulation clouds changed again, but they were still targeting earth veins. The immortals defended the earth veins strongly using all their strength. They cooperated tightly. Although earth vein nodes continued to decrease in number, the situation was turning for the better. The calamities and tribulations were of all kinds, but their targets were still earth veins. This was a controllable factor, which brought a lot of convenience to the immortals. Over 10 or so calamities and tribulations targeted earth veins, but after they were repelled by the immortals, the tribulation clouds that covered the whole sovereign immortal aperture had mostly disappeared. However, when the immortals thought the tribulations had finally passed, an aura that made the hearts of all living beings in the sovereign immortal aperture shake appeared all of a sudden. At first, this aura was extremely small, but soon, the aura grew rapidly in the deepest part of the tribulation clouds. Amidst the immortals' puzzled and terrified gazes, a fire burned in the depths of the tribulation clouds. The fire was black. The black fire had just appeared. When it burned all the remaining stubborn tribulation clouds, the black fire grew rapidly and started falling down. Wherever it passed by, be it ground or the air, they were all burned into nothingness. The immortals breathed in sharply. The power of the black fire was horrifying. It was like the nemesis of all existences. Isn't this black fire like the one in the Dragon Whale Grotto Heaven? It actually appeared here. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable is truly formidable. Wu Shuai's heart jumped. Even an expert like him felt extreme threat from the black fire. There was nothing else to say. The immortals used their methods to defend against the black fire. However, all the methods were of no use. Even when Fairy Meow Een and Lady White Rabbit used all their strength, they could only extinguish a little of the black fire. Moreover, once the black fire was destroyed to a certain extent, it would change form, transforming into black water, black lightning, and so on, killing many Gu immortals, who were caught off guard. At the crucial moment, He Chun Xiu took action. Don't panic. The main body also expected this scene and taught me a countermeasure. He Chun Xiu said as he activated a human path formation. The human path formation had the 1,000-wish tree and also the secluded domain of heaven and earth. Human sea. Bam, bam, bam. Lumps of white light flew out from the formation. These lumps of light were extremely large. They flew everywhere in the many 5 regions. As long as the black fire spread, the white light would pounce on it. The black fire was quickly dissipating. It changed its form again. But no matter what form it took, it was still continuing to be extinguished by the white light. The white light's effect was excellent, but the black fire continued to gather and grow. It will be really dangerous if this continues. Human path killer moves are effective, but they cannot compare to the black fire's growth. What should we do? The immortals panicked. Oh no, Black fire has appeared on Danghun Mountain and Luo Pa Valley. The earth vein formation is also being burned. The situation worsened rapidly. He Chun Xiu, Wu Shuai, and the rest were pale. The situation was out of control. The human path formation left behind by Fang Yuan was also implicated. What to do? These Gu immortals had already tried their best, but they could do nothing. They could only depend on Fang Yuan's main body. Fang Yuan's main body was continuing to dodge. His whole body was bathed in blood. His hair were disheveled, and his arm was broken. He was in a miserable state that he simply could not counterattack and gain any initiative against the two venerables. 5 Restriction Profound Light Qi was forced to stop. One phrase could be used to describe the current Fang Yuan. Hanging on to his last breath. Giant Sun Immortal Venerables' methods were truly terrifying and dealt with Fang Yuan's methods by destroying their foundation. The Gu immortals left behind to guard the sovereign immortal aperture could do nothing more. Their only hope lay with Fang Yuan. But Fang Yuan did not have such an opportunity. The two venerables attacked like a storm, arriving one after another, not giving him the chance to catch a breather. I must resolve the black fire. Fang Yuan clenched his teeth. If he ignored the black fire, his sovereign immortal aperture would be as good as destroyed. Immortal Killer Move. Hu Elevation. Suddenly, a Qi Path Killer Move descended, temporarily blocking a venerable. Qi Si clone had made his move. He was finally freed from the shackles. Here I come. Zhan Budu roared. He was freed from the responsibility of protecting Qi Si. He rampaged and fought his way to Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. Fang Yuan's main body took the chance to retreat. Immortal Killer Move. Humanly Flame Smoke. He activated his method to save the human path formation first. Then he coordinated with the human path formation to deal with the black fire that was scattered everywhere. Burning white flames shrouded the black fire and started tearing it apart. The main body's abilities were indeed extraordinary. The black fire's growth was immediately impeded. However, Zhan Budu and Qi Si Ancestor were being beaten back. Paradise Earth. Fang Yuan retreated towards Paradise Earth. Paradise Earth took a deep breath as he activated Heavenly Web Protection Veil once again. With his help, Fang Yuan obtained a brief respite. When the two venerables broke the Heavenly Web, Zhan Budu and Qi Si Ancestor arrived to reinforce him. The battle had lasted until now, but the two venerables were unable to take Fang Yuan's life. Both frowned. Crazed demon formation was shrinking rapidly. The limit on the venerables was being released. Their attacks became increasingly terrifying. Fang Yuan could only flee miserably. Immortal Gu House. Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress. Fang Yuan hid inside the Immortal Gu House and activated a killer move. This move used ability Gu as the core. It had the effect of absorbing the black fire. The deadlock inside the sovereign immortal aperture finally began turning for the better. Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress protected Fang Yuan for a while before it was broken by the combined strength of the two venerables. Die. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable suddenly used a vicious killer move. Protect me. Fang Yuan cried out in alarm. He was unable to dodge in time. At the crucial moment, Zhan Budu flew over and used his body to block the killer move. Boom! A huge explosion rang. Zhan Budu was torn into pieces, dying immediately.